And we're now talking to Angelo Moore, legend of Fishbone and the Brand New Step. Why don't you start by telling me a bit about the Brand New Step, because you've done so many other projects.
Well, okay. Angelo Moore and the Brand New Step, right? So Chris Jensen in there, he was at the Fishbone documentary, him and Jim Greer, at a theater somewhere in LA. I think it may have been the Bootleg. Chris, where did you guys see the Fishbone documentary at? Where did we meet?
The Fishbone documentary showed at the Roxy Theater on 16th in Valencia in San Francisco in like 2012. And I went to the theater to see it, and then Norwood and Angelo performed afterwards. After the movie and after they performed, we went outside. And
like an acoustic thing, right? Is that what it was?
And then I met both you and Norwood. And I had been working on a song with our third member, Jim Greer, who's a producer. And I had this song called The Brand New Step. Didn't have lyrics, and I was like, man, I forgot about Angelo, but man, it'd be great to get someone like Angelo on this track. And Jim's like, well, let's just call him. And then it was like a musical blind date. 2 weeks later, I picked Angelo up at the Oakland airport. And I remember driving up to the Oakland airport thinking like, well, I recognize him, and like instantly it was like Angelo was in like it was like a mummy suit, and he looked like a witch doctor, had bones all over his stuff, and
the mummy outfit.
And I'm like, there he is. And like, how would I not have recognized him? So then fast forward, we go to the studio.
The Rondo brothers.
Yeah, I never sent Angelo the song, so he had no idea what he was walking into, and he sat there for like 45 minutes. We played him the song, The Brand New Step, on repeat, and then he finally was like, I got it, stood up. He sang it, and I think it shocked all three of us that it actually maybe had worked and turned into this like thing.
Yeah.
Angelo left. He called me about 2 weeks later and was like, man, I think this is pretty great. And then I was like, oh shit. And so I went online and I got brandnewstep.com, which I was surprised was not taken, like a shoe store or self-help or something.
Oh my God!
And so the song and the website, it just
store.
Then it became Angelo Moore and the Brand New Step, starting with that song. And since then, I think it's almost like 14 years.
I got a line dance to go with it.
So there it is in a nutshell.
There it is. There it goes. That's it. And I made up a line dance to go with the song. You've seen the show before, right?
I'm planning to see it, definitely.
Oh, really? Oh, so you haven't seen us yet?
Not yet, but here's as good a time as any place,
you know?
Yeah,
that's right. Thank you, man. Well, I got a line dance to go with the song. You'll see it. I'll make sure you're doing it with me. Oh, yeah.
And the project sort of came out of that?
Yep. We started those guys in San Francisco, the Rondo Brothers studio. That's the studio that we went to that Chris was just talking about, And so Jim Greer and Chris had a bunch of songs. Some of them were half-baked. Some didn't have lyrics. A couple of them did. And they asked me to write a lot of lyrics to a lot of the songs, and so that's how a lot of this collection of songs started out. Just by me getting together with them. I live in Los Angeles. I catch the train or the plane up to San Francisco or Oakland, and then we get in the studio and just hash it out. Write lyrics and to the pieces of music that they had.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One question.
And it's cool too because a lot of the lyrics are kind of not really like Fishbone. Fishbone's a little darker. Brand New Step's a little more peace and love.
I have a question about the song Los Angeles. Can you tell me about the background behind that one?
The background behind that. Well, Chris Jensen here.
I got the background.
Yeah, he likes to take me through these every time we get together and write a bunch of music. He always likes to take me through this face your fears process. Face your fears. Talk about the city that you can't stand the most that you grew up in, but talk about how much you love it. I'm like, okay, that's going to be a challenge. Chris, you want to elaborate on it? Because see, Chris does.
Well,
You know,
I'll try
Chris
to do it
is-
quickly because the interview's for you. But
Dr. Phil
that,
over here is.
every time we get together, I try to have one song that's a real personal thing of Angelo and kind of like a emotional song. And it started with a song called "Sacrifice," singing about the
music
life
business.
of the road and the stage. Second time we got together for a full album, we did a song called "Gratitude." Both "Sacrifice" and "Gratitude" are slower songs. And I asked Angelo, have you ever sang about the road? Have you ever sang about thanking your fans? And Los Angeles is another one. Have you ever sang about Los Angeles? All three songs, he said no. So I thought those were good places to start. And then I would sketch out lyrics. I'm not a lyricist. And then I give it to Angelo. And Angelo's like, oh, Jesus.
Then I would have to put the meat on the bones.
Yeah, and sing about it and make it his own. But
Yeah.
I think it shows Angelo in a whole different light, having it slowed down in this perspective of his life, which maybe people don't get and people are maybe interested in.
Or maybe I don't even want to talk about.
And now,
Okay.
I'm gonna. We have a new song that's not out yet that we're working on, but the 1979 song about the start of Fishbone. So we always have these songs that go a little bit
that's
deeper. For
right.
But anyways, back to your.
Yeah, I have to do, there's always a part of the process where I got to do a lot of digging and soul searching and what do they call that when you do hypnosis? You got to do a lot of child regression type of thing. So I find myself having to do that as a part of the songwriting process of the brand new step. It's like me asking you about your childhood, maybe a painful part about your, well, actually, maybe not a painful part. Actually, there's probably some pain in it, but there's also some good parts to it too that you usually don't talk about unless you're in front of a shrink or something like that. So, it teaches me a lot to let go with some of these songs, let go of different scenarios in my life, which it's almost like finding a diamond in the doo-doo. Got to reach into the doo-doo to grab the diamond and pull it out.
That's a great way
Reaching
to put
into
it.
the doo-doo is always uncomfortable. But then there's a diamond in there you can pull out of there. All you got to do is wash it off and you got a diamond. Metaphorically speaking.
Speaking of Los Angeles, I'm just wondering, if you were at all affected by the fires in the area.
No. But they were close. They were close. I could step out my front door and look over the hill and see the big plume of smoke coming and the helicopters flying over my neighborhood full of water to dump it on the places that were burning. And I was so glad that the wind was blowing away from my place of living to where the fires were. Yeah, so I was. For a minute, I thought you were going to ask me about the riots in Los Angeles.
No.
Because that's a part of Los Angeles.
Yeah, because I wasn't...
You asked me about something recent.
Yeah, I was just... But yeah, I do know, Los Angeles has some, not just some really horrible parts of its history and some really good parts of its history. All of that is part of the package. I live in New York City, so
What part of New York?
I'm in Manhattan.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're right in the middle of it. Yeah. Where everything is on top of one another. Subways. It's a lot of art in subways.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. That's something that they have done right, tried to make the subways more artistic.
Yeah, they definitely turn out a lot of underground activity and a lot of grit. You always have a lot of art that comes out of a lot of underground cultures, A lot of artists.
But, getting back to Brand New Step, I noticed there's kind of, a lot of it seems inspired by, I guess, late 70s music, like, I don't know, Kool and the Gang? Or I guess Parliament Funkadelic qualifies, but very danceable. Where I mean, Fishbone is more of a ska band, and Brand New Step is more in a classic funk and soul vein. At least that was my
Yeah,
take.
because now that you mention it like that, I mean it's a wide range to cover. Uh, when you say 70s and 80s, but we do have some songs that have that kind of flavor of that era. Some of the mixes. Jim Greer, he puts a lot of that stuff. He does a lot of the studio work and using samples and stuff like that. You know, to get that sound. With a lot of the samples that we've incorporated into the music. Yeah. What songs? What songs do you feel are 70s? Because now I'm trying to think. Don't Hold Back. Is that one of them?
Maybe. I think I was listening to one of the earlier albums. Soul Searchers. The name,
Soul
yes, that's
Search-
the name of it. Even with
And that
the
was
cover.
that was one of the singles.
That
Soul
was
Searchers. And Soul Searchers is definitely from that era. From the 70s era. Soul Searchers. Don't Hold Back's another one that's got that 70s flavor in it. Superstars, another one that's like some like a funkadelic.
Centuries of Heat.
Centuries of Heat is like almost like 70s disco. Man, that's a lot. But you listen to it from a different perspective because you're listening to it with the bow on top, the finished product with the bow. When I'm listening to it, I'm usually making it. And then once we finish making it, I don't listen to it for a while because I kind of let it all just kind of go out of me until I got to revisit it again or perform it.
So at what point do you realize that like you can listen to some of the music? Like how long does it take before you say, you know, I can listen to this, I can finally approach this as a listener?
When I got to perform it. Yeah. Because I got to listen to it. I have to listen back to what I did. Almost like I have to relearn it. Even though it's my DNA because I was there making it, putting it together with the rest of the guys and the people that are involved. But to perform it is another story because then you have to relearn what you put together and try to get it as close to the record as you can as a live band. With samples, and the samples is a new one for me because I'm used to working with just instrumentation in the band. With the Brand New Step, we incorporate samples in ours, which puts a different spin on it. So it's almost like it's an upgraded version from what I usually do. It takes me into the DJ zone.
That's a good way to put it, the DJ zone.
The DJ zone, yeah, because DJs, they don't play an instrument. They play the finished product. But we use parts of the finished product and incorporate it into the music, which is what, man, it's like a lot of hip-hop bands do that. They got a band, but they also got a guy on the turntable scratching his samples into the instrumentation of the band, which is it's a good one, you know. Yeah.
It's been a difficult path trying to.
And a difficult path, yeah, because I'm a purist. I don't want no goddamn samples in my
The thing is to just
acoustic
kind of,
music.
correct a little bit. We don't use any samples, but we do where I think Angelo sometimes gets mixed up is like we're not a DJ band where we're using samples. We just use a lot of electronic elements to enhance the music. Where Angelo comes from just like solid bass and drums. We're like, yeah, solid bass and drums, but there's also like a beat in there, and then there's some like just nuances and like swirls and just swooshes and things that like we feel that kind of add to the song. And it's not a crutch, it's just sort of like there's so many other like musical instruments too that can be introduced into a song. And my thing with Angelo from day one is I don't want to do anything that's Fishbone. I don't want to do just bass drum ska hit. Like I love it, but I want to put Angelo into a new light and make it danceable, positive, and refreshed, and just sort of like soul and melodic, and have people be like, wait, they find out about Fishbone through like a back door, but they find Angelo like, who's this? Like, oh my God, these songs and this, and so
because the fidelity on a lot of the brand new step is a lot different from a lot of the other stuff that I do.
oh, for sure, and
Fidelity is definitely
that's
different.
been our main goal, is to always write songs that Angelo has not done.
Yeah.
And in some of the songs, he's kind of gone kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
But eventually it grows on him.
But it's not too many though. It's not too many songs where I'm kicking and screaming on it. A lot of it's more, it's more soulful and it's a little more hip hop. We don't have any distorted guitars. There are no punk rock or church beats, fast church beats. There's not any really fast up tempo. It's all groove oriented. Yeah, groove based.
More of like a Thievery Corporation band or something like that.
And perspective is like when I had to work with the tracks, which in my mind a track of a song means it's already done, right? So why would you need a track of a song that's already done when you have an actual band with instruments, bass, drum, guitar, horns, keys, and stuff like that? But it's all in perspective, because if you could bend your beliefs from being a purist of whatever it is, if you could bend your beliefs, then you could always create something new. And so this is why in the brand new step, the phenomenon of the brand new step, in taking this brand new step in music, using samples and pre-recorded pieces of music is different for me, and plus it broadens my horizons when it comes to music with this particular ensemble.
I will add one more thing.
Yeah.
That makes the brand new step different, or the sound might be different, is that there are I invite many different people into the albums. So it's not one drummer, one bass player, one guitar player. There's many.
Yeah, we got different people.
Well, it's a crew of probably 15 people. So each song has different flavors. So it's sort of like it kind of keeps it fresh, I think. Some people might say, well, you listen to a band and it's deep like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's like, they're great. It's those same guys every track. Or like with a brand new step, you really have to read the liner notes, because you're like, oh my God, there's like Mike Borden, or there's Galactic guys, or there's Casual, or Del the Funky Homo Sapien, there's Hassan.
What's the girl's name? Butterscotch, right.
I mean, I know all these amazing musicians, so I usually invite a lot of people into the recordings and got a lot of stuff on it, and then I go through and I strip it all back. And I think that keeps it kind of fresh, where everything is a little...
You got variety.
Well, you just never know who's on it, Like it's just,
well, of course, unless you read the liner notes. Yeah. Or you know who it is when you listen to them.
Yeah.
I have a question. Fishbone just did a song called Racist Piece of Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Could you tell me a bit about that song?
It's everybody's favorite, yeah.
Hey, I like it.
It's everybody's favorite. Well, that song obviously is about Trump and Putin. It's about who's running the government right now. It's about the alt-right white state of mind. unfortunately a disease in our country and society, in our culture.
Absolutely.
Racism, the disease of vanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about people like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Dowd wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I've been talking about that kind of shit all my life because I've been living it, unfortunately. So we just had to put it out there, and unfortunately, it's right on time.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's right on time. You know, it's like some people have written on, I think it's been on the So Many Millions website, Angelo, I didn't know you were so racist. I'm like, nah, man, it ain't even that.
Mm-mm.
You just hearing. It's almost like people are just hearing the title as opposed to actually listening to the lyrics that's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've been singing about this type of shit in all of Fishbone's history. That's been an element in our music. Because that's what we have to deal with and in the white society as people of color.
I have a question. I mean, of course, Black Americans founded rock and roll, but at some point, rock was seen as a white genre, and black bands playing rock was somehow seen as strange. Why do you think that was? What happened?
Well, because there's racism. We're back to that again.
Mm-hmm.
So some racist piece of shit decided that he wanted to designate one type of music for a certain color of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you have these lines of segregation.
Mm-hmm.
And even though black people created blues, and indigenous people of America, Indian, they created the blues, and then it turned into rock. You have a lot of white people that like to steal and make it their own. Culture vultures, what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have that phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person with the most money has the means to get the message further and faster to people that this color or type of person is supposed to play this kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have segregation, even within the music.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, unfortunately, that's what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shouldn't stop anybody from playing what they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the answer to that one right there.
Fishbone was involved with the Black Rock Coalition, weren't they? Weren't you?
Yeah, to some extent, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was a New York thing, Fishbone's from L.A., but we could still all relate and commiserate with the whole cause, because the reason why the Black Rock Coalition is there is because black people and people of color are playing rock, but because of the system and how it's designed, it doesn't point toward that. So you got a lot of these black rockers in New York that are like, we play rock too as well as everything else. And so you don't have to believe what the system is telling everybody, because they got power over the media to get the message out bigger and faster than anybody else that doesn't have the money to do that. And so that's why the Black Rock Coalition was formed.
And I especially find it weird because if you look at Jimi Hendrix, for instance, I mean, who is like one of the major figures in rock and roll. That's just something, like I said, something that people just conveniently forget. And I'm reminded of a Funkadelic song like Who Says a Funk Band Can't Play Rock?
Yep, that's right. So there was always a racist piece of shit somewhere deciding that this person of this color that looks this way isn't allowed to play this kind of music over here. I guess it always goes back to some racist piece of shit somewhere with a bunch of money and power that you can never see, that's always making lines of segregation and racism.
What's it like, by the way, to be working with Chris Dowd again?
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was in the band when all the other guys left. He quit for about 8 years, but then he came back.
Mm-hmm.
So we do good work together. As a matter of fact, we got an album coming out called The Son of Fishbone,
Mm-hmm.
The Stockholm Syndrome. Yep, and we just finished it.
Great. That sounds great. How do you manage to juggle? I know the different projects with Fishbone and Brand New Step and some of your other, musical
I try to
activities.
do it very carefully and strategically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And one more question. What advice would you give to young musicians who are starting out now?
Shit, man, just do what you believe in and do what makes you feel good and what you believe in, what your integrity
Mm-hmm.
calls for.
Okay.
You do that part first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you think about the money.
Uh-huh.
Usually if you think about the money first, it don't come out
Mm-hmm.
as pure. I know some people think about the money first, and I'm like, well, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's not that heartfelt. You're doing the music for somebody else rather than yourself, or to please the system,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe to please some racist piece of shit that you want that wants you to play the music he or she wants you to play because of the color of your culture, color of your skin or your culture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that. So stick to what you believe in and what makes you feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and what you feel is the truth.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really